city that you're dialing in from. I know there are some people from outside of India who are joining as well. So just let us know the city you are coming in from. Okay, I see someone from Gurgaon. I saw someone from Boulder, Colorado. I saw someone from Assam, the northeast of India. I saw someone from New York City, someone from IIT Delhi dialing in. Apurva from Mumbai, Dinesh again from India. Okay, great. I see Saurabh from Gurgaon, Ahmedabad, Coimbatore, Solapur. Okay, Dubai, Udaipur. Okay, beautiful city. I was there last year and loved it. Mumbai, and yeah, okay, basically all over the country. Great. I'm going to wait for a few more seconds. I'm going to wait for another 30, 40 seconds for everyone to come in. We are expecting around 150, 200 people to attend this session. We are close to 100 right now. So I'm going to give the others some opportunity, some time to join in as well. So let your cities come in. So let us know the city that you're dialing in from. Shubham, I read you. You said you are not able to hear me. So a quick audio check with the others. If you're able to hear me, just confirm that. I believe my audio is working all right, but in case you're facing any problems, please do let me know. Great, so let us know the cities that you're dialing in from, and it's great to see a variety of audience over here. We have a very interesting session planned for you today. We are interacting with 4 alumni of UC Berkeley's Master of Financial Engineering program. We are also going to interact with Jacob Calise, who's the program director. He's also going to make a presentation very shortly. We are going to kickstart all of this in another 1 minute. So in the meanwhile, do let us know the city you're coming in from. So I see someone from Jammu, someone from Mumbai, Delhi. Any of you who are dialing in from the IITs, so IIT Delhi, Mumbai, Kharagpur, Kanpur, if you're dialing in from one of the IITs, let us know. We saw quite a few of the IITians coming. So I see Aman from IIT Kharagpur, great. I saw someone, Priyanshu from IIT Delhi. So let us know if you're dialing in from many of the IITs. We saw quite a few of those come into our last session in December. It's good to see you guys over here as well. Anyone dialing in from the NITs, the National Institute of Technologies, any of the NITs? Anyone from SPIT, the Sardar Patel Institute of Technology in Mumbai, Delhi Technology University, Netaji Subhash University of Technology. If any of these top engineering schools, just let us know the institution if you're dialing in from one. Gives us a good feel of what kind of audience we have in this room. So I saw someone from IIT Indore as well. Hi, Shubham. Thank you for joining in. Great. So I saw someone from Kharagpur, quite a few Kharagpur people as well. Great. So with that, let me kickstart this session. My name is Sanjay Dhingra. I'm one of the co-founders and the Chief Operating Officer at Seed Global Education. We are a higher education firm headquartered in London, and we facilitate such interactions between top candidates and top institutions like UC Berkeley. We did sessions with Berkeley. We did a session with Berkeley last month as well. This is our second session in this series. We are going to do one more very shortly. And we are a firm which specializes in facilitating such interactions. As I said, our today's session is called the UC Berkeley Masters of Financial Engineering Alumni Panel. We are focusing on 4 alumni of the Berkeley Masters of Financial Engineering program. It's ranked amongst the top Masters of Financial Engineering programs in the world. Berkeley, of course, the Haas School of Business is amongst the top B schools in the world and top in America as well. So we are going to interact with all of them. But before I kickstart the interaction, let me run our polls for the evening. So you'll be able to see the poll go live on your screen right now. Okay, I think there's some connectivity issue, but are you able to see the, okay, let me try launching once more. Okay, great, it's gone live now. So I'm asking you 2 questions today evening. One is, which industry are you most interested in? So are you looking at asset management, trading, tech, fintech, any of these areas? So let us know the interest, your industry of interest. And the second question is, within the BFSI industry, so within the banking, financial services industry, which function are you most interested in? Some of these pathways are also pathways which the Berkeley Masters of Financial Engineering program facilitates. So through this, we get a great feel of the audience and your interest areas. So let us know which industry and which function are you most interested in within the banking financial services industry. I'm going to keep the poll live for another 30 seconds. So if you haven't responded, please do respond. I see around 50 responses come in. I'm going to wait to touch the, let's say, touch the 90 mark. So another 30 responses possibly to wait for. So let us know your interest areas. Let us know the industry and function of your interest. Great. I do have responses come in. We are close to 75 responses. If you haven't responded, please do respond. Let us know the industry and your function of interest. Great. I'm going to end the poll in the next 5 seconds. So if you haven't responded, please do. Those of you who are dialing in from your cell phone, you possibly have to click on the buttons at the bottom right of your screen to see the poll in the options over there. So open the poll, please do respond. And we are close to 90 responses now, 88. So just 2 more responses to go. So if you haven't responded, please do respond. And I'm going to end this poll right now. Great. I'm going to share the results as well, so you are able to see the audience mix as well. So I see around 33% of the audience is interested in building a career in the fintech or tech industry, followed by investment banking, 24% interested in investment banking, 18% in asset management, followed by trading and something else. When it comes to function, okay, data science is the largest, and great. In today's session, we have Berkeley alumni who work in data science as well. So we are going to interact with them as well. So 41% looking at data science. Okay, that's dominant. Then 18% looking at portfolio management, some looking at quantitative research, product management, risk modeling, and so on and so forth as well. So great. Thank you for responding to this poll. It's great insight for us. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to invite Jacob Galise, who's the program director of the Berkeley Masters of Financial Engineering program, to run us through his presentation. He's going to give us a short program overview so that you all have understanding of what the program features are. He's going to take the next 7 to 10 minutes for his presentation. Post that, we are going to go ahead and interact with Tanya, Prakarsh, Yashuraj, and Puru, who are all alumni of the Berkeley MFE program, work in the industry in the United States over there. And we are going to interact with the 4 of them very shortly. But first, let me invite Jacob to run us through his presentation and give us an overview of the program.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sanjay. Can I get some thumbs up from the panelists to make sure everyone can see the presentation here? Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sanjay. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being with us here this evening. We really appreciate you making the time. We're so excited to be able to connect with and recruit amazing, bright, talented, motivated individuals from India and beyond. One of our primary countries that we love to get students from. And what I'm going to do over the next 7 to 10 minutes, as Sanjay mentioned, is give you an overview of our program. Of course, you're going to hear from some of our very successful and awesome alumni, and they're going to give you their own perspectives as well. Well, without further ado, we are here to talk about the financial engineering program at Berkeley Haas. Now, this is a 1-year graduate degree in financial engineering, and it's going to give you the tools that you need to succeed in the areas of quantitative finance and data science. Now, as you're considering graduate programs in the United States, one of the things that you will note is many of the other peer programs are 18 months or even up to 2 years. This is a very, very big distinguishing factor of our program. It is 12 months, 1 year. Why is that important? Well, it comes down to the return on investment equation. You will be out of the workforce for just about 12 months' time. That means less time in school, quicker time back into the workforce, and a higher ROI for you. Again, want to make that distinction here. In addition, we are one of the only quant finance programs to be at a business school. We're at the top ranked Haas School of Business. What does that mean for you? That means the ability to network and integrate with some of our very fantastic MBA students as well, and to leverage the broader resources of the Haas School of Business. Of course, as everyone knows, we're also at the world-renowned institution university, that is UC Berkeley, consistently ranked as one of the top institutions in the entire world. So again, you will be well situated and benefit from what I call the triple helix of a very fantastic financial engineering program at a top ranked business school at a world-renowned university. It's a powerful tool and one that will serve you well in your career. Now, with all of that being said, we do have a 2-year part-time online option available. That is a much smaller option for those of you who are looking to continue to work while studying. That is an option available to you. I suspect many of you are going to be focused on the 1-year full-time option here in Berkeley, so we will not be spending a tremendous amount of time on that 2-year program, but just know that it exists, and we're happy to further connect with you on it. Now, our faculty are world-class in their areas of research. These are individuals who have been in academia for many, many years and are doing cutting-edge research in their field. But because we are located just steps away from the San Francisco Bay Area, we also benefit from bringing in industry practitioners. These individuals are working at the very companies that many of you would like to work at. So we have people coming from BlackRock who teach our equity capital markets course. We have individuals coming from companies like PayPal to teach some of our data science. And in fact, I noticed that many of you indicated that tech and fintech, as well as data science, are your primary target areas. Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there is no better place to study that than in the San Francisco Bay Area, where all the innovation is taking place at the intersection of technology and finance right now. So again, you will be well situated at Berkeley, just steps away from San Francisco and Silicon Valley. Now, 95% of our coursework is indeed team-based. We do this because it's important for you to understand how to work with people from all different types of backgrounds, different countries. And of course, that will be representative of what you'll face in the workforce as well. Now, in addition to a 3-month paid internship that takes place off-cycle in the fall, Berkeley MFE students also benefit from what we refer to as independent studies. And these can take the shape of 2 different channels. One is partnering with faculty on research, and the other is partnering with a company on a real challenge that they may be facing. So again, in addition to a paid 3-month internship, you'll be working with companies on real problems, real challenges, and helping them work through solutions vis-a-vis our industry projects. Now, again, the Berkeley MFE has been recognized as a top quant finance program by some of the leading publications out there, CFE Times, QuantNet, RiskNet, to name a few. All right. Now, of course, in addition to the academics, in addition to getting to meet new people, many of you are doing a graduate program in the US for your career. That's understandable and to be expected. Now, you'll be working with our team here on your career services. We've got fantastic track record of placing students into internships as well as full-time jobs. And we have some of the highest starting salaries compared to any program in the world. Now, as you can come back to the equation of ROI, it is no surprise that US-based programs are quite expensive, but you can also get a sense for just the starting salaries that you can command coming out of this program, which typically range on an all-in compensation package well over $100,000, and in many cases into the $200,000 figure range when factoring in year-end bonuses. So again, it's an incredibly lucrative field, and the ROI on this program is fantastic, and that's part of the reason why I'm so excited about it. Now, we also have a tremendous amount of resources for you here. In addition to working with our career coaches, our resume book will get sent out to hundreds of different contacts, portfolio managers, heads of trading desks, individuals who are running data science teams. You'll benefit from our MFE alumni network, as well as the broader UC Berkeley community. We are a STEM OPT recognized program. Of course, for many of you who are coming to study on an F1 visa and might be international students, this is important. What it means is you have up to 3 years to work in the United States without needing to worry about going through the H-1B visa process. Now, having said that, many of our partners are familiar with how to sponsor H-1B visas, but it does give you some additional flexibility in working in the United States without having to go through that process. We'll be doing mock interviews, workshops, bringing in companies to present to you, to talk to you. We also recently launched our Alumni in Residence program, in which you have the ability to book career coaching hours with some of our alumni, one of which is with us here today, and I'm sure he'll talk to you more about that program as well. Our students are going into a broad range of opportunities, whether it's banks, asset management firms, trading companies, technology companies, financial technology companies, and into a wide variety of functional areas that the survey alluded to earlier. And let's just take a sampling of some of the firms who have hired our students over the past couple of years. You can see tech companies like Amazon and Uber. You can see banks like Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs. You can see hedge funds like Point72 and Centtiva. Needless to say, wherever you're looking to take your career, the Berkeley MFE has had a track record of allowing students to reach their goals. Now, I'm not going to really go into this because we have alumni here to talk to you today, but what you can see is that there is an underpinning of individuals, of people who have studied some sort of technical discipline on the undergraduate level, whether it's physics, applied statistics, electrical engineering, chemical engineering, mathematics, computer science. Again, some alumni profiles for you today, but you're going to hear from our alumni directly, and that's going to be fantastic for you. Now, I'm not going to go into the admissions. That is what we covered in session 1. Again, This is all available on our website, and I really want to allow for more time for you to hear from our alumni. Very quickly, we're going to need an undergraduate degree comparable to a US 4-year degree. We're going to need you to take the GMAT or the GRE. The average, I say the average, not the minimum, is a 90% required on the GRE quant and 70th percentile on the GRE verbal. We're looking for similar percentiles on the GMAT. If you're both scoring below that, it means you're going to have to supplement your application in other ways. That could be vis-a-vis great work experience. That could be vis-a-vis great undergraduate performance. That could be fantastic internships. Again, those are not requirements. I simply give you averages representative of what a typical admitted student has. You're going to need 2 letters of recommendation from a professional reference and or an academic reference. And then if you make it past our first round, you will be invited for an interview with one of our alumni. Again, we take our admissions process very seriously, and we're looking for the top students to come into our program. Now, we're working on a rolling admissions cycle. Our first deadline for the start date of March of 2024. Again, we're a 1-year program, so we bring in a class every March. Next start is March 2024, is January 19th. That is our first deadline, followed by our second deadline in March. So for anyone who's interested in starting this program in March of 2024, again, first deadline, January, second deadline, March. All right. Now, again, we're not going to get into the admissions here because the purpose of this session is for our alumni. With that being said, I will take a look on the chat box to see questions that are coming through and try to answer those as I can. And without further ado, Sanjay, I think I'm just about at time, so I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jacob. That was perfect. With that, let me invite the alumni. So we did speak or did brief introductions, but I'm going to invite all of them to do more detailed introductions. So let's start with Puru. Why don't you start, Puru, by taking us through your profile before you got into the Berkeley MFE and tell us more about what you are doing currently?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Sanjay. So first of all, welcome everybody to the webinar and the session. Thanks for coordinating this. So I started thinking about the Berkeley MFE when I was actually slightly different from some of you who have joined this webinar, in the sense I was already in the US at that time. And I was working in Southern California at a electrical engineering company. So I was a power engineer many years ago. And at that point, I came across the MFE program where I thought that it was a really interesting program in terms of the fact that the same code that we were writing in electrical engineering could be used to make financial decisions. And that led me down the path of applying to the Berkeley MFE. And it so happened that before I joined, Linda actually recommended that I get an internship even before I joined, and I did that. So I was actually interning at PIMCO, which is one of the big asset managers in Southern California, before I came to the program. And post the program, I ended up working for the US government for a few years. So that's sort of been my journey. And now currently I'm at JP Morgan Chase Bank. And I'm based out of Bangalore. So I made a return back to India after many years. So I'm based out of Bangalore now.
Great, great. Thank you for that, Puru. Prakash, do you want to go next?
Sure. Thanks, Sanjay. Hi, everyone. My name is Prakash. I'm based in Old Greenwich, East Coast, US. So a little bit about my background. When I joined MFE Berkeley, before that, I was working in WorkQuant, the same firm I'm currently working for. I was in Mumbai office, working as a researcher and also the territory manager, handling both business and research side. After MFE, during the MFE, I got a chance to intern at Millennium, which is sort of a parent company for WorkQuant, in one of the trading pods. Had a great experience there, joined full time after joining Millennium, and made a move earlier in 2022 to back to WorkQuant in the same project I was working in 2019.
Great. Thanks, Prakash. Thanks for that. Yashiraj?
Yeah, hi everyone. Again, glad to be here. Thanks for organizing this. So about me, I was working as a data scientist at a fast-growing fintech based out of India. And my idea was that, and then after that, I actually The startup was in the domain of using data science and machine learning to push the boundaries of financial inclusion and underwrite underbanked and unbanked people in India, which got me really interested in the domain of behavioral finance and data science, and that led me to do research in the Bay Area in the same domain for 3 to 4 months. And that's when I applied for the MFE program, because I realized it's very interesting in terms of how you can use data science and machine learning in financial applications, and how the same thing could be used in both the buy side and sell sides, and a lot of fintech applications as well. And so that's what brought me to the MFE program. And after that, during the program, I worked with on both the buy side and the sell side on projects and internships. And then after that, always wanted to be based out of India. So came back here, and I am heading technology and business at a fintech base out of here.
Great. Tanya?
Thanks, Sanjay. Yeah, so I graduated Berkeley MFE in 2015, so it's been about 8 years now. So I was working in a bank, Credit Suisse in Singapore, and I was working with quants there, so that motivated me to do a quant program. So I joined in 2014, and then after graduating, I joined Moody's Analytics in the research division in the commercial real estate space. There I worked on building models, PDLGD models. From there, I went to the video games company, Electronic Arts. I was a data scientist there, again, working on machine learning models. It was an interesting switch from finance to tech company for the first time in my life. A lot of differences culturally and the kind of data you deal with. So it was an interesting experience. Then after working there for some years, I again switched back to fintech. Stripe, a payments company. Was a data scientist there too, worked around there for more than a year, and now I'm at Cash App, again a fintech company in the payments domain, but very different roles here. And yeah, it's been only 2 months since I joined Cash App. So yeah, interesting journey so far. Worked in different industries, different experiences I did as data scientist. So yeah.
And which city are you based in, Tanya?
I'm based out of Bay Area.
Okay, all right, great. So thank you for those introductions. To the audience, one quick input over here. You can ask your questions to the panelists in the Q&A window. I'm going to pick up the most upvoted questions to ask them eventually. As I said, you can also upvote questions asked by others. So go through the list, identify the question which is most relevant to you as well, upvote it, just click on the thumbs up. So I know which is the important questions, and I would pick those up to ask these panelists as well. Going into my next question to all of you, right? Studying in the US, I understand a lot of Indians want to do that. So that's a clear fit over there, or clear aspiration over there. But why particularly the Berkeley MFE? There are other universities which offer the MFE, and I'm sure you would have evaluated some other options as well. What motivated you to particularly look at the Berkeley MFE? Anyone wants to go first? Okay, let me cold call in that case. Tanya, why don't you start?
Yeah, sure. So I have a lot of reasons why I picked Berkeley MFE. So my husband, he was a senior to me, and he also graduated from Berkeley MFE. So that was one of the obvious reasons. He upsold the course so much to me. I had a chance to talk to the alumni, his batchmates so much. So I was really, part of the course before I actually joined it. So that was a very natural choice for me. And before that, when my husband was researching also, I was part of the whole process. So I did research 2 times, which programs are the best, which one should I join. So I would say Berkeley MFE was one of the best programs that, for many reasons, it came out to that this is the best choice. Plus, I really like the California, the weather here compared to the East Coast. So I think weather was played a role partly too. It's such a beautiful city, beautiful place. So yeah, it's a combination of good program, good weather, good place, and my husband was already studying here. So all these things played a role.
Fair. Anyone else wants to go? Yashoraj, Prakash, Puru, what
Sure.
were your motivations to pick?
Yeah. So for me, it was I was already working as a data scientist in in fintech and using working on and developing machine learning models from scratch. And in terms of in an area that was very new in India at that point of time. So that got me really fascinated by. I was really fascinated by the applications of ML and data science in a financial context, and I figured this is something that I would really want to double down on and get more skills in that and more deep training in that domain and get some more work experience from a global perspective. So that's what really drew me towards the MFE program. I saw that it's not just financial engineering, but it's more quant finance with a very, very heavy practical flavor of data science. And that's what I saw in the program as well, the kind of projects that I got to work on, and the kind of projects that I also got to work on during the internships I did was very effective. So I think it was this entire domain of being able to sort of really double down on my ML experience and in a very fintech tech domain, because that's what I've also ended up doing after my program as well, is what really drew me towards the MFE.
All right. So you got a perfect fit basically in terms of competencies and what you're looking for. How much work experience did all of you come into the program with? Puru, how much work experience did you have before you started in the program?
So I had about 4 years of experience when I started. Yeah, totally about 4 years of experience.
Okay. Any of you who joined the program with less than 2 years of work ex?
I was just short of 2 years, just by a couple of months. So.
All right. So that takes me to the next question. I want to understand more about the profile and the kind of cohort that you had in your respective batches. Do you want to run the audience? Because see, the audience is trying to find a fit, right? They're also trying to understand how they fit with the school and whether their profile is good enough to study at a school like Berkeley in the MFE program or not. Do any of you want to describe your cohort? What was the average work experience of the cohort? What kind of background did the Indian students or other international students came from? And just give us some insights around there. Prakash, do you want to take this up?
Well, I'm probably not the best person for that because I did the MFE in 2020, right? That was all the COVID year. But the good thing is, like, even in that environment, we did everything in projects. So from staying in touch with the Indian community, what I figured out is that, and also from folks from other Asian countries and some folks from Europe and Australia and US, most of the folks had about average of about 1 to 2 years of experience before they came in. There were lots of folks who came without any experience, and that probably it's a little bit of trend change as compared to what it used to be in years before. And of course, there were people with far more experience. Like I myself had about 4 years. There were people about 5 years, 6 years, and even 7 years. So some of them had a lot more as well.
All right. So one interesting question over here, for a lot of candidates with 2+ years of work experience, an MBA becomes a relevant option to look at as well. Did any of you evaluate doing an MBA instead of doing a Masters of Financial Engineering program?
I can take that.
I did an MBA first and then I did MFE.
So you did an MBA first and then the MFE was a follow-on for that. Okay, so it was, and I'm assuming okay, let me come to my next question eventually, but Prakash, you were talking about this.
Yeah, actually, I paid a lot of deliberation into this question whether MBA is better than MFE, and spoke to some of the folks who are in industry. My target in industry was fairly clear before I came to the program. I wanted to be in investment management. I was in that domain and wanted to continue to be in that domain. MBA becomes a more relevant question as you gather more experience. But I think ultimately what I decided is to double down on improving my hard skills, because soft skills I was anyways honing on in my work, and this is probably is MBA you can also do down the line. It's not something end of the world, but I think MFE I generally felt that the kind of hard skills upgrade it gives you is definitely worth it.
All right. So that brings me to the next question, and Tanya, this becomes specific to you. Since you already had a previous MBA, and I saw your profile, you studied at a fairly prestigious institution in India, and I saw an audience question. There's an audience who asked this question as well, that he or she is currently doing an MBA in finance, and whether she should evaluate such an option, do the Berkeley MFE as well. So do you want to take us through your journey? How was your experience after having got tertiary education already? How was your experience in the MFE cohort?
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you some background on why I made the decision for going for the second master's degree. So after my MBA, I joined bank, State Bank of India. I was in the risk department there for about a year. And then I moved to Singapore and I joined Credit Suisse. And there I was working with quant developers who were working on building models, right? So that actually got me interested in the quant side of things more. I wanted to be more involved in building models and understanding the what goes into like how do you deal with data, how do you find patterns in the data, and how do you build models on top of that. So that is what I got interested in, the quant side of things. MBA provides you very different perspective, and I would say both MBA and MFE have helped me in different ways. MBA helps me to understand, like, I'm in data science field, so having that perspective of understanding the business, like having the product manager's perspective, is also very important to tackle any problem at hand, right? So data science, what MFE enabled me was to, I like numbers really, finding patterns and how to solve problems with patterns in the data, right? So MFE enabled me doing that. So I think when I was doing MBA and I was working in banks afterwards, after a certain point, I realized like this is not what I'm really passionate about. I really like working with numbers and like finding patterns in the data and coding and all that stuff. I was missing that part. So I realized it after working in the industry for certain years, and that's how I like, this is a good choice for me, that it will enable me to go back to the tech side of the things a little bit more, right, as Prakash mentioned. And it helped me to get in touch with the coding and like building models, and like the machine learning was coming up. It was not that big at that time when I was studying, but once I graduated, I was working in Moody's. I like got interested in the machine learning space, and like MFE is a great program. It has already made the foundation work. So you can pick up on any skills, like the industry is so fast changing. So the best thing I like about MFE is the program is so intense that it provides you the breadth and the depth at the same time. And it enables you to pick up new skills while you are at your job.
Interesting. And
Yeah.
well, apologies, I'm going to pick up one more question for you right away. So you also have a CFA. Did you complete the CFA before getting into the Berkeley MFE, or was it post that?
Before.
Okay. And I think Kushal, this answers your question as well. So Kushal is in the audience. He is currently pursuing CFA level 1. He wanted to know what prospects he has. But Kushal, this is an example in front of you that if you have, I see you have good academics, you have good work experience, you've worked in 3 boutique investment firms as well. And possibly Tanya is an example, a live case in front of you about the pathway that you can look at to the Berkeley MFE. Great. I want to move on to my next question and bring in Puru and Yashuraj into this. Puru, you completed the MFE quite a few years ago. Do you want to take us through your experience, if you still remember how was the journey during the course and post that?
Yeah, I mean, what aspects of the journey would you like me to focus on?
Let's start with as a student. So at Berkeley, as a student, so the MFE cohort is fairly small, but you of course would have had access to the other master's program students in Berkeley, interacted with all of them. So
So I wanted to add to Yashuraj's point. So I think it's also quite relevant these days to be hedging your bets a little bit with the data science stream, right? So we see that the data science has become a very important area. And actually, when I graduated, I don't think data science was, I think it was just emerging. I think Facebook was just starting to recruit from the MFE program. So it was just emerging at that point, but it wasn't really a big line of recruitment from the Berkeley MFE, but that has changed considerably since I graduated. And I think that now data science is a very active career choice for Berkeley MFE students. And I would highly recommend the Berkeley MFE program to do data science as well. And as you can see, Tanya is at Stripe, which is top data science firm. I'm sorry, I think you're at Stripe. I'm assuming you're still at Stripe. Oh, sorry, you're at Cash. You're at Cash now. Yeah. So point being that this transition is become very easy through the Berkeley MFE program. And needless to say, Berkeley is one of the top schools in computer science, right? So the computer science department, Soda Hall, is right next to Haas. You can go and sit in a class if you want to. In fact, I remember sitting in Michael I. Jordan's class. So if you don't know Michael I. Jordan, look him up. He's kind of the biggest deal in machine learning. So he's there at Berkeley. So you can do things like that. However, as Tanya mentioned, the program is extremely intensive. So it's not like you will have a lot of bandwidth to go outside what is already offered to you. And all the options are there. So you just pick from that and stick to the assigned, typically the assigned coursework. There's a fair amount of flexibility in that as well. But yeah, the program is very intense. You'll make a lot of friends. It's really sharp, and you have, I think, 2 month sessions. I don't know if the formats have changed since then, but it's really quite something. And you'll make a lot of friends in the process. And when people are put under a lot of pressure together, you tend to become friends very quickly. So that's also one big advantage of meeting a lot of like-minded people at the MFE program.
All right, but let me follow it up. How involved are each of you with the alumni community? Are you still in touch with your peers, your batchmates, alums from other classes? And how big a support has the community been for you so far? Prakash, do you want to take this, or Yashuraj, either one of you?
Yeah, I can quickly chime in. I'm still in touch with the folks from MFE, especially when I was in New York. I would meet them a lot more often. Now I've moved out of the city. It's a little less, but still in touch. Like whenever you have to hang out with folks, the first probably things that comes across your mind is probably get in touch with the MFE folks, unless you have school friends or something else. So I agree with what Puru said. That there's going to be it's an intense program. You naturally partner with a lot more people, and you also find good friends along the way.
Right, Yashuraj?
No, absolutely. I'll second Prakash there. I mean, and also Puru, obviously, the point that when the program is so intense and kind of high pressure, it's very immersive in nature. That you're continuously day in and day out. You're like working with different your colleagues in different teams, different projects, that you get naturally close to them. It's a great learning experience as well, because every second person in the program is just absolutely brilliant. Coming to such sort of a cohort, and there's absolutely so much to learn from them. I'm still in touch with quite a few of the folks that I closely used to work with there, even after coming back to India, because I'm based out of India right now.
Okay. So I understand a lot of the graduates are either based in the West Coast of the US or the East Coast or international. So almost 15% of the alumni community is based internationally, and then quite a few in the West and East Coast. Would that be correct? If you look back at your batchmates, your cohort, a lot of them would
sounds about right. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yep.
Great. Let me ask you this. Any memorable quotes? So your most memorable quotes during the program, which one did you absolutely love? Any faculty that you remember and you're like completely mind blown by that faculty? Okay, everyone is.
So I just because I really loved Eric Reiner's course on derivatives. There was a particular intensity to it. It was almost like going through ordeal by fire. But that made me like be in touch with him afterwards as well. It was a great learning experience. It's a domain that I was never exposed to before. This is absolutely brilliant. Being Rainer's student and being a part of his class.
Puru, do you remember from your time?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think so. As I graduated a little, I mean, not hugely, not a whole lot of time back, but a little earlier than some of the graduates here. There was a professor that I think retired by the time some of you came around. His name was Mark Rubenstein. He's also quite a legend in finance. I don't know, some of you maybe have he taught you. And he had this very interesting story that I still narrate to some people. He was a good storyteller, and he's also one of the founding ideas behind the binomial pricing model. So he's kind of a big deal in finance. Yeah, so one of the stories he used to tell was how he I mean, a little bit of background about him was that I think that he was in contention for the Nobel Prize at some point, but I don't think he got it. So that's sort of, like that's something a lot of people hope for, but it doesn't happen sometimes, right? Like, this is quite a difficult award to get. But one of the stories he narrated was that because he had a car that he used to park in Berkeley every day at an illegal spot. And his story was that even if I get fined for it once a month, which is the fine was about $50, he said that it's still better for him to get fined once a month because it was more expensive to park in the Berkeley parking. So he said that the state had not figured this out. So there was arbitrage here that he could park in the illegal spot and yet be more profitable. So he said that that was very interesting that there's still arbitrage out there in finance.
That's an interesting one. Tanya, Prakash, your favorite profs?
Yeah, I would actually go with Dr. Reiner as well. In fact, he taught us two courses, the derivatives one, but also the math foundation course. So, and what I know is that both of them were brushed up quite a bit in terms of your learning experience. So, by far you definitely learn a lot of things. All of them are industry standard stuff. That's given. But at the same time, it also gives you a lot of mental training as well. So you kind of get prepared to kind of face any sort of eventualities. You come to that point, and by the time you're done with the course, I think I actually felt a lot of satisfaction that I went through this thing. So that was one, and then there's one which I would say is dynamic asset management, which is quite relevant to what I do, and that was also a brilliant course taught by Kevin Cold Iron, I think industry expert in his domain, and talks about a lot of things from his experience. So it was also one wonderful course.
All right. Tanya, your favorite? I'm just going to move on to the next one very quickly, but really want to hear from you as well on this.
I think the one course, empirical methods, I think I use it the most till date. Like after graduating also, I have referred to the notes so many times. So I think that is the one course that I found most useful personally. And then the most challenging, I would say, like the stochastic calculus. It was like, I dreaded that class. Like I used to like just sit in the class and then hardly absorb like 10-15% of what's going on in the class. And then afterwards, like had to like rewatch the lectures so many times just to get what the professor is saying. I'm not very good at with the names, but I remember that the professor who used to teach stochastic calculus, he was like super handsome, and all the girls were like just wanted to do some projects with him outside the course. I do not remember his name. Yeah.
Okay.
But I would say all the courses, like some people from BlackRock came. There was a credit risk course, I think, taught by Deepak Agarwal. Every course helped in some or the other way. Like it was relevant. Like generally, you see like the coursework are not so relevant in the on your job. But I would say the programs at MFE, somehow I found that I was able to relate them to my job. So it was good in that way.
All right, interesting. So let me take up this next question. A lot of the audience are looking to apply to the program and are possibly rightly concerned that it's a rigorous course, competitive, and of course, requires a certain level base level knowledge in certain subjects. So for any advice from your end to the candidates who are looking to apply, what should they focus on right now, or what areas should they start preparing on right now so that they're better prepared to cope with the program once they're there? Any preparatory courses that they should look at, anything that they can do to be ready to face the rigor over there?
I mean, I'll quickly jump in with my advice. So I don't think it's so much like coursework. To me, I think the more important thing that the Berkeley MFE is worried about is being able to place you. So if you gather skill sets and particularly expertise in the industry a little bit, even before you come in with a short internship or even a job, then that makes you more employable. And that actually opens the gate to place you well. And I think that's what the end goal, it's an applied program. So you want to be placed well by the end of it. So I think in terms of coursework, I think you'll sort of get by. I don't think it's a little difficult. Some of the stochastic calculus can be a little hard, but you're all smart people. You'll all get through it. That's not the problem.
All right. Everyone agrees with this, or any recommendation for courses that people should take up before coming in?
I would say just one thing. I think the program anyways gives you a good amount of pre-program and prerequisite courses to take a look at. Doing that seriously I think is important, because that kind of gives you a good foundation to start and makes your life easy to program. Yeah, that pretty much covers everything.
All right, great. So to the audience, these courses, the prerequisite courses, are on the Berkeley website. So do check it out. All the information is out there. This could be very handy for you if you are targeting this program. Puri, you touched upon career services and you spoke about careers as the outcome. So can you guys take us through what kind of career support you had available from the school, and how did you leverage those resources to find the first opportunity that you got out of the program? Prakash, you are the most recent grad. I understand you are a 2020-21 student. So
yeah,
why don't you start?
Sure. I would say career services was another major reason I decided to come to Berkeley as well. And in COVID times, it became all the more paramount, because the sentiment when the COVID had just onset was pretty bad. The responses on LinkedIn and other sources were not so great. And that time, when you're faced with the intense coursework ahead of you, you need support from career services. And I think in my time, it was top notch. So at least I didn't have to worry about firms not coming to hire you. Yes, I don't know how it was in the batches before me, but during our time, it was not straightforward, but it was also not like you don't have firms to apply to. There was plenty of opportunities, and by the time the internship period came in, I was lucky to find one.
Right. Anyone else? Tanya, Yashuraj, Puru, anything to add over here?
So, I'm also not that old of a graduate compared. I just did 2019 and 20, right before COVID. But I think career services was just like magical during time in Berkeley. It's like one of the biggest strengths the program has. Remember, I used to call, message, speak to career services, speak to Linda at any point of time, just discuss about what you're doing, what sort of projects you should take, what should not take, which will help you become more employable. So I think it was absolutely brilliant. I think that's always been going to be one of the key strengths of the program. Anybody asks me, that's what I recommend to them, because as Puru also mentioned, it's an applied program at the end of the day. You should focus. The focus of the program, very rightly so, is to get you placed and make you employable, and everything kind of boils down, is centered around that. Which is absolutely great, because but you are kind of setting the expectations right. You're playing right. You're playing right along those expectations, and you're getting people the kind of jobs and opportunities that they've come in for the program. They come in for into the program.
All right, great. So I'm going to move to the audience question very soon. I see 27 questions have come in, so I see a breadth of questions there. To the audience, a quick reminder, you can upvote the relevant questions so that I know which are the important ones, and we'll take a few of those to ask the panelists today. I'm going to ask them one last question before I go to the audience questions. This question is around what are the upcoming trends, right? All of you have experience, you're now in the industry. you're Puru, Yashuraj, you decided to come back to India. Tanya, Prakarsh, you're still there and see how the markets are evolving. There is a concern in the minds of some of the session attendees that we have interacted with previously is about the economic slowdown. So any new trends or emerging opportunities that you're seeing in the space that recent graduates from the program can target or look at? Puru, given the experience you have, do you want to reflect on this, talk about the emerging opportunities, trends in the space?
Yeah, sure. I mean, personally, like in my line of work, like I've always been associated with trading and markets. And generally speaking, trading and markets don't really suffer that much when volatility is high. In fact, short-term trading actually does rather well when volatility is high, right? So that's, if you're in the short-term trading business, then you're still okay. Like when vol is high, that's okay. Now, in terms of new avenues, obviously crypto is a new avenue. So I know that recently there's been a little bit of lull in the crypto industry, and but there is fundamentally a value add that the crypto business brings to the ground. And I think in that sense, there's always potential for improvement and innovation. There's a lot of funding as well in that area, right? So there's a lot of seed funding going around in the crypto space. So it doesn't have to be the same thing that we've seen so far, but it can be something more secure, more new. Maybe, for example, I work in credit default swap, maybe a new way of doing a credit default swap, right? These are all ideas that are now gaining ground in the crypto space, and there is innovation there for sure. So that is one space to watch out. The other thing is also as you know, Yashoraj could speak more to that, the fact that there are so many people on the other side of the world that are not banking the same way as the US, or they're still an underserved part of they're not. Financial inclusion is another theme there. So crypto talks a little bit to that, not entirely, but a little bit to that. But there's so many people in countries like India who are looking to be part of that financial inclusion, and there's certainly a lot of potential for growth there, right? So when we look at this, we're talking about growth, and where growth is going to come from is definitely going to be a little more siding towards Asia, I would think, simply because it's just the numbers, right? You look at the growth numbers in a place like India versus growth numbers in developed economies, you'll just see that. So I think those two in my mind are the two obvious things that come to my mind.
Interesting. Any other additional areas, Tanya, Yashuraj, Prakarsh, any other insights, any new emerging opportunities that you see?
I'll just add in quickly to what Puru just mentioned. I completely second that. I think that there's the growth story is definitely, towards Asia, like phenomenal growth in internet penetration, smartphone penetration, like more large swaths of people coming into an economy where you can now create financial instruments and use that to serve those customers, whether it be through blockchain or crypto-based assets, or just like the massive amount of data footprint that you have access to sort of curate new products, whether it be investments, whether it be credit, whether it be in short tech. All of that is happening in a very, very large scale in Asian and emerging markets. So there's a lot that's going to happen in this space in these geographies in the next 2 to 3 years, and that's what I'm personally very excited about.
Interesting, great. Tanya, Prakash, anything to add over here, or shall we move to the audience questions?
Yeah, I would just like to add one thing. I think Puru and Yashuraj covered it very nicely, but what you have to do to keep up with these innovations, the world is changing so fast. I think the one of the principles that I really liked from MFE Berkeley was like, be student always. Like always keep learning, and that is the only way you can keep up with these changing trends.
Yeah, lifelong learning is the goal. Question over here. So now as alumni, do you find any support from the school for these lifelong learning? Some schools allow students, your alumni, to attend classes, maybe virtually or in person, or do workshops, faculty interactions. So any such support that you get from Berkeley as well?
I've not looked into these things, but I think Berkeley, the course enabled me to, provided me that framework to go, and there are so many online resources these days. Once you have that framework, which MFE provides you, then you can, I think, develop on that by using those online resources.
All right. So I'm going to move on to the audience questions. There are quite a few, and I think we are going to run a little over time in this particular session. So let me start with the audience questions. Anshika, your question, and currently the most upvoted question around the fees and the duration of the course. I know Jacob did touch upon this in his presentation, but this is information which is available on the website. In the interest of time, I'm not going to take up the fees and duration related question. My request would be, do check out the website. All the information is there. Do your research, and I'm sure you'll get insights over there. Aisha, coming to your question, you're currently a final year student, BCom student, and your question is whether you can apply to this program. So I know Jacob did touch upon this in his presentation, but let me bring him in to the session as well. Jacob, if you're still here on this call and if you're able to join us, that would be great. So in your presentation, you showed that the requirement is to have a 4-year, equivalent to a 4-year undergraduate program in the US, but a lot of Indian undergrads have 3-year undergraduate degrees. So what can they do to get the 4-year equivalency? Anything that you've seen in the past, students?
Yeah, that is an issue we run into with folks coming with the 3-year degree. And unfortunately, it does require getting either some additional schooling, right, to supplement that 4th year, or potentially doing a 2-year program. But at this point in time, we are not accepting simply a 3-year degree. It would have to be the equivalent of a 4-year degree. All right.
So the students who have a 3-year undergraduate, can they top it up with maybe a postgraduate diploma or a master's?
Correct.
Before coming to the program? They can.
Correct.
Okay. So great. So Aisha, that's your feedback. Maybe look at topping up your bachelor's with a master's in India, maybe a 1-year or 2-year master's in India or a postgraduate program, and then look at applying post that. The next question I have is from Disha, who's a qualified chartered accountant and who's evaluating whether the Berkeley MFE could be a good option for her. So Disha, possibly we spoke to Tanya. She had an MBA. She was a CFA charter holder before coming to the program. So that's an example in front of you. Tanya, is it okay if one of the students, or they connect with you or LinkedIn and get some insights or get some feedback from you one-on-one? Would that be all right?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, great. So Disha, my recommendation would be to reach out, possibly connect, look at LinkedIn profiles of other Berkeley alumni who have come with a CA, CFA degree qualification before coming to the MFE, and possibly that becomes a good example or a pathway for you to follow. Okay, I am gonna pick up. Okay, I do see a lot of questions, and okay, so the 2 relevant questions which have come in, this is from Ishita and Abu Hasnad. They are asking if knowing some level of basic coding is a prerequisite for coming into the program. So Jacob, anything over there? Do they need to come with some tech coding background?
Sure. So I would say that it is going to be foundational, right? Do we need you to be production level expert in coding? No. Do you need to have at least a foundational background? Yes, right? The 2 primary languages I would say we're paying most attention to is Python. And then as a second would be C++, right? Now, obviously, some of the other C languages are important, especially if your goals do lie in high frequency finance. But it's certainly important. You will not be able to make it through the program without having at least some background in coding. Now, I'll drop a link in because there was some earlier questions as well as where students could potentially, take some courses to supplement their education. And we very nicely put this all out for you in a box here. So if you click on that link and you go down to the second section, it says where to take classes to fulfill prereqs. All of these have been pre-approved by our admissions committee in the various areas, right? And so you'll see sort of halfway down that section that there are courses in both C++ and Python that you can take if you do not have a background in those areas.
Perfect, great. So to the audience, I have reposted the link that Jacob shared in the Q&A in the chat window. That is the requirements for the course. That gives you a great insight on what the eligibility is. Do refer to that. Jacob, one follow-on question, and this has come in from some of the attendees over here. Predominantly, the language of instruction at the undergraduate level in India is in English. So a lot of them have done their previous studies in English, are fluent in the language. Is the language test, is an IELTS or a TOEFL test still a mandatory requirement, or can they look at getting a waiver around that? Is that a possibility?
Yes, if your undergraduate studies or an existing graduate degree was taught in a certified language in English, you can email us. We will waive the TOEFL or the IELTS for you.
All right, great. Jay, I think there are plenty of examples about the alumni who came to the Berkeley MFE from a non-finance background. Quite a few of them were engineers, had previous education in some other domain as well, and still came into the program. So I think that is a good enough response for you. The next question, and sorry, in the interest of time, I'm going to rush through the next few questions and take up just 2-3 relevant ones. My apologies. I know, Prakash, you had to drop off. You had a hard stop at 10:30 p.m. India time. So if you need to carry on, please do. My next question is around the alumni spread and how the opportunities get cracked. So around 60% of the class of 2020 ended up finding an opportunity in the east coast of the US. So Jacob, how does the school make this possible, right? How does the career services provide the support for students to find opportunities in different parts of the world or different parts of the United States?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can also share our career link to our employment reports, Sanjay, that'd be great. I just dropped the link in. So we enroll about 80 students in this program. Of the 80 students for looking for internships, only 2 were able to actually get their own internship this year. What does that mean? That means, to the point that you've heard from the alumni, we take a very hands-on approach in helping our students get internships, right? And because we're working off cycle, the benefit to you is that you do not have to compete with all the other graduate students, undergraduate students. You will only be competing, quote unquote, with your classmates. And so we're providing bespoke off-cycle internship opportunities. And of course, to your point, Sanjay, to answer your question, many of those happen to be on the East Coast, simply because many of them are going to be within the financial services industry, followed by San Francisco. Of course, many of our partners have big operations out here as well. So that's how that's why you'll see the over-indexing on the East Coast in places like New York City, right? So I'll leave it at that. And let's go on to the next question. And if there's any, elaboration that's needed on that.
Sure. So I think one question which is coming up is around having a finance background or having exposure, having some work experience in financial services as an industry. So is it a disadvantage if a student applies with a non-finance background? Jacob, when you evaluate candidates, do you have any preferences for candidates with a finance background, or are you open to evaluating all background applicants?
Yeah, listen, I think it's much easier to get your head wrapped around markets, finance, economics than it is to get your head wrapped around some of the hard technical engineering, computer science, math, stats. So we actually will over-index on those, right, as opposed to the finance background. So again, let me drop a link in here, which I think will be helpful for everyone, which is our last class profile, okay? What you'll see there is, on the academic background, the vast majority of the students are coming from engineering, followed by computer science, okay? Economics, math, and finance are 3rd, 4th, and 5th, respectively, okay? So again, engineering, computer science, having those strong technical disciplines, and then supplementing that with either, let's say, CFA level 1 or 2, or taking some online finance courses, is going to suit you well for this program. If you've studied finance and you haven't taken classes in computer science, engineering, math, stats, it's going to be a challenging program for you. Again, not impossible, but you will need to supplement with some additional coursework. Otherwise, you will not be successful in the program or in internship recruiting, which starts basically just a month or 2 after you start the program. Okay.
All right, great. Thanks, Jacob. So I'm going to take up the last question, and I think this is relevant, and we have 2 panelists who can really address this. So the question is, what if someone wants to come back to India post a program, right? So Yashuraj, Puru, both of you decided to come back to India after getting some work experience in the US. how challenging was it to find a suitable opportunity in India, and any advice for those who want to come back to India post the program?
So I in fact just had a drop off, so I'll just probably take this up and we'll have drop off after that.
Sure.
So I mean, like, see, although I ended up working in data science, but I personally know a few people from my class, knew a few people, slightly older alums from the program who are sort of working in like companies of various sizes, like fast hyper growth startups, mid-sized companies, large investment banks, as well as doing quant QR work in India as well. So I think that there are opportunities opening up, in my opinion, more so than before. But I think Puru, having had a lot more experience than I come in with, would probably be able to chime in with sort of more perspectives around this. But strictly speaking, from my domain, from the aspects of fintech, data science, in the domains of, say, payments, credit, investments, I think that there's a whole lot of opportunities that are opening up now. And at pay grades, very, very on par, if you like, account for purchasing power, very, very, very much on par with what you'd probably command in the Bay Area as well. So that is a very encouraging sign for students over there.
Great. Thanks, Shuraj. Puru, over to you. So students or candidates who want to come back to India, any advice for them?
Yeah, sorry, my computer hung before, but yeah, there's definitely opportunities to come back. But I would say that definitely, if you're going to the US to study, if you're going to be in Berkeley for a year and you put in all that hard work, it's a good idea to get some experience in the US for at least a few years, and then plan your way back. If you're intending to come back, then that is probably a better route, and that's simply because you get access to the biggest labor markets in the world, right? In terms of different cities, there's Chicago, New York, be it Florida, the Bay Area. There's a lot of, Los Angeles has a lot of jobs. So you'll get exposure to all of these labor markets, which are really large labor markets with a wide variety of jobs. And it's probably a good idea to get a fair amount of, depends on what you want to do. If you have a hot startup idea, then come back, fine. But then otherwise, you stay in the US for a little while, like I did, and gain some valuable experience, figure out what you want to do, and then you can always make a jump back. And as Yasharaj said, the PPP adjusted salaries have improved in India quite a bit, and the work profiles have improved as well. So some of the stuff we do at JP Morgan, Bangalore is not different from the stuff we do in New York or in London. So it's the work profile is exactly the same. So that's what I would like to say.
All right. And Puru, over a course of time, do you have a lot of alumni, Berkeley alumni, who are in the country now?
I think about 10 to 15% at most, because as I said, coming back to India is, at least in my cohort, or in even in the more recent cohort, would be a slightly less favored choice typically. That's changing, but most people want to live and work in the US, and that we see those patterns in immigration patterns also, right? Like people who are trying to migrate to London or to New York. So that is a pattern we've seen. And a few people want to come back for various reasons. I had my own. I had spent a lot of time in the United States, and I was coming back, but most people prefer to stay.
Sure, makes sense. With that, let us wrap up this session. So thank you to the audience for joining in. Quick check with Jacob. So if they have follow-on questions and want to get in touch with the school, any recommended channels?
Absolutely. Let me pull in a couple links here, as well as some email addresses. And Sanjay, while I'm doing that, I want to make sure that our attendees on the line today know that as part of this partnership, we will be waiving our application fee for the program. Okay. So that's a 275 USD application fee. So let me drop in our admissions contact, and you have the opportunity to email us anytime at mfe@haas.berkeley.edu. You have the opportunity to call us. Again, all that information on the page I just sent. You have the opportunity to sign up for live Q&A office hours with our admissions team. You have the opportunity to book admissions chats. And then, of course, we will also be doing periodic events throughout the year, which you can find here. In summary, there are a ton of channels that you can stay in touch with us. Now, to take advantage of that application fee waiver, just email us at the email address and let them know that you attended the seed session, and our team will waive the application fee for that. All right.
Awesome. So that's great news, and that's a great gift for the audience, and great gift for those who are staying back in this session so far. So thank you again for staying in the session. I hope you found it useful. You got a great gift from Jacob. The application fee waiver to the program has been waived off if you're looking to apply to the program. So make the most of this opportunity. Yashuraj and Prakash had to drop off. They had a hard stop, but thank you, Tanya, thank you, Puru, and thank you, Jacob, for doing this session. There are over 100 people still in the room. We touched a peak of around 220. So 50% of the audience is still in the room at the end of 75 minutes almost. So I'm quite confident they found this session useful. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for being such wonderful panel with us today. And thank you to the audience for being with us. I hope you found it useful. And if there's anything more that we can help you with, or if you have any further queries, please do feel free to reach out to us at Seed or reach out to the Berkeley admissions team and get your doubts clarified. Have a great day to those of you in the US. Have a great night to Puru, who is in India, and have a great night to the audience who are in India as well, or other parts of the Asian continent. So thank you again for joining in, all of you. Have a great day.
Good
Bye-bye.
luck. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.